So it's an interesting time of year for many of us, yes? There's something in the air, I don't know if you feel it, I certainly feel it, right? That as the holiday season unfolds, that there's a quickening, there's an energy, and we are gonna light the menorah next week. Tonight is the first night of Hanukkah. So I was like, do I light it tonight? Do I not light it? It's still gonna be Hanukkah next Sunday, so I thought, let's light it next Sunday, because it'll be a lot more candles. But one of the things I've been really thinking about is how to support all of us holding this holiday season from the metaphysical perspective that is so uniquely unity. And it gets hard sometimes, right? Because we get caught up in maybe what we were taught when we were kids, and we get caught up in the idea that somehow this story is happening over there. It's happening in the past. It's happening out there. And I really want us to really try to remember that it's happening right here. The love that's being born is us, over and over, every single day. It's not a historical narrative. It's an invitation to step into our Christ Buddha nature, to step into the wholeness that we all actually are. And so the Advent wreath, what I love so much about this wreath is this idea of how it builds on itself. Because I don't know about you, does anybody in here get lost and overwhelmed sometimes with what's going on in the world and life and everything else? So how do we hold ourselves? And so we begin Advent from faith. And how unity understands faith is it's our willingness to trust in the unseen. Right? Are we willing to trust in what we cannot see? And do we have an inner yes to divine possibility, not human possibility, divine possibility. And faith is the seed of our spiritual perception. Can you feel what I mean by that? It's our capacity to be able to navigate the world with a spiritual prism, not just a sense perception, something bigger than that. And then from that seed, peace can begin to arise. Because peace arises from our spiritual perception, from our understanding that whatever may be happening in time and space, it is always impermanent. But that there is something that is eternal, that is immutable. And that is the very peace of our understanding, right at the very center of our being. So it's an inner state of stillness, and it's a space for compassionate awareness to begin to arise. And that brings us to love, which is the next evolution that we're being invited, the next practice we're being invited to bring online. Now, how unity holds love, there's so many definitions for love, aren't there? And most of us think about love as being an emotion. I love you as an emotion. And all of that's fine and dandy, but that's not what we're talking about from a spiritual perspective. From a spiritual perspective, we are talking about our capacity to harmonize, to unify, to bring together, right? That is what love is. It is our capacity to be that in the world. Does our world need this right now? We have to stop thinking about love as an emotion. Because when we think about love, emotions come and go, thank goodness. Right? Emotions are going to come and go. Love never goes. It never comes. Love is a constant. So can we understand this elemental piece of who we actually are in the world? So a way to think about this is that faith opens the eyes of the heart. I know our heart doesn't really have eyes, but go with the poetic license, okay? Peace steadies our gaze, and love is our ability to show up in time and space. Can you feel how it builds on each other? And we want a solid foundation. We need all of these things acting together. So love is the way that the divine takes form. It is how it actually manifests. So heaven and earth meet in us right here, right now. Each one of you is the place where heaven and earth meet. And how that shows up is through the choices that we make. What are you choosing from? And we talked about this last week. Are you choosing from fear and worry and anxiety, from scarcity, from lack, from not enough? Or are we choosing from an understanding that we are here to be the very hands, feet, voice that is always trying to express more wholeness, more ease, more grace, more beauty, more joy? So Eric Butterworth, who was one of our foundational teachers, says, when you truly love, you see all people as part of yourself. Right? Wouldn't we love to just cut some of those people off? Oh, they're not me. I'm not them. I'm just going to cut them out of the equation. It's not true. There is no separation. Everything is interconnectedness, oneness. And so service then becomes a natural response to the realization of oneness. If nobody is separate from us, and we see that there is injustice in the world, how can we not respond? Because it's also happening to us. I know that one of the biggest pieces when Black Lives Matter first came out and people kept saying, racism has as much of a negative impact on the white world as it does on all the people who are experiencing it systemically. And that was a hard one, I think, for people to understand. But it negatively impacts all of us. We're not separate from any of it. And so love is how we act on our values. And what we know in unity is our values are around justice and equity and integrity and belonging and respect and empowerment and generosity and compassion. That's what we are being invited to live into in the world, to be the hands that are generous, to be the voice of compassion, to be the place of respect and empowerment, not just for ourselves and not just for our families, but for everyone. Bell Hooks, who, if you don't know who she is, go check her out. Read some of her stuff. She's amazing. And one of my favorite quotes from her is, there can be no love without justice. There can be no love without justice. I'm going to say, too, there can be no justice without spiritually grounding. Love is not an emotion. Justice is going to arise from how grounded we are in our spiritual principles. How grounded are we truly? And so, without spiritual grounding, what we may experience as love is as feeling overextended. Anybody in here identify with that? Overextended, martyrdom, right? I'm always the one who does everything. Fawning, right? Oh, please, I would love to just let me, I want to be near you, right? Emotional reactivity. Anybody in here experience anything of that in your life right now? Emotionally reactive? And then the big one is conditional generosity. Oh, I'm going to be generous because then I get X, Y, or Z. That's not generosity, right? It's not. So when we are spiritually grounded, though, how love expresses is as true connection and open-heartedness. It expresses as wisdom and boundaried, right? I did that whole series on sacred boundaries. Love is about being very clear about what is mine and what is yours, and I can be very compassionate about where you are, but you are not my problem to fix. We're coming up on the holidays. You're going to have all sorts of people, family in your life. Do not fall into the trap that they are your problem to fix. They're not a problem to begin with. And it does mean courage. Love is courage. And it is a willingness to act, to actually move through time and space in a certain way. So when we are grounded in faith, peace, and love, what it means is that we can be present to suffering without collapsing in fear. Can you feel this? It means that we can be compassionate without feeling overwhelmed. Anybody in here felt overwhelmed sometimes by all the injustices in the world? But when we are anchored in the truth of everyone's divinity, of the divine goodness that is everywhere present, that there are no problems that we're supposed to fix, then all of a sudden we don't have to feel as overwhelmed. And it allows us to be responsive to injustice with grounded, sustainable actions. And this is a really important piece because so many of us get burned out. And when we are getting burned out, we're not aligned with our spiritual grounding. When we're getting burned out, we've lost our center. We want to be able to move through the world from a place of equanimity and centered understanding of the truth of who we are, the truth of who the world is, and that there is things that are ours to do. There are things that are yours to do. Take that in for a second. It's not mine to do. It's yours to do. So, in the midst of all of this, right? It can be so hard to remember. It's so hard to remember. This morning I woke up and I was like, oh, good, as I read the news, I was like, I get to practice exactly what I'm going to be talking about today. And Irving Greenberg says, the proper response, and by that I mean anything in life that's throwing you off center, right? The proper response, as Hanukkah teaches, is not to curse the darkness, but to light a candle. We are the candle. We are the candle. And it's so easy to fall into the trap of cursing the darkness, making it all about what's over there. But our actual work is to light our candle and to let that light burn brightly. The world does not change because we believe differently. The world changes because we love differently. And there is a huge shift that we are being invited to lead, to model. Jesus modeled so much about love and compassion and forgiveness. We are now being invited to be that model as well. And I'm not saying it's easy. So last week I shared three-step process, right? It's anchored in our prayer world. It's anchored in what we know and believe. So we're just building on that. So the first piece we need to do is release the power of whatever we're afraid of. We don't release our fear. How do you release fear? Fear is fear. We're going to feel fear. Anybody in here ever feel afraid? Right? It's okay. You get to acknowledge your fear. But what we understand in unity is that we don't have to allow that fear to be what controls us. So we are negating its power to be the decision maker in our life. And we are affirming that we are centered in truth, That we are centered in the seed of what's possible. We're centered in the groundedness of perfect peace. That we're centered in the understanding that we are here to be the hands and the feet and the voice of love on this planet. And as we affirm that for ourselves, we can then realize it. We can make it real. And that is knowing that I am a place of peace and I choose to act as love. I choose it consciously because the way we've all been brought up and the way the world sort of has oriented itself, we are all hardwired to choose self-preservation. Me. We hear it all the time. If I don't think about me, who will? We need to consciously choose to act as love. And the question, what is love asking for right now? What is needed in this moment? And maybe it's setting a boundary. Maybe it's allowing a softening. What are you carrying around that is really hard and tight? What if you allowed that to soften and you showed that softening in time and in space? Maybe it's about speaking truth. And that does not mean that you get to tell people how you think they need to show up in the world. That's not what I mean by speaking truth. All right, let me be really clear. We live in a world where we somehow think it's okay to go up to people and say, I want to tell you my experience of you. And this is what I'm going to tell you about you so that you can be a better person. And we always say, and I'm doing this from love. I will say this again and again, mind your own consciousness. Mind your own consciousness. So when I say speaking truth, I'm talking about speaking a truth that you need to be. That you need to stand in, that you need to show up in the world as. You know why Martin Luther King and Gandhi, why these people changed our world? It's because they were speaking truth, not their truth, not a small truth. They were speaking truth, and people could feel it. They could feel the resonance of that. Maybe it's just to welcome some grace. Grace for others. Can we give people grace right now this time of year? Can we just say, okay, that person, wow. I don't know what that was, but I'm going to give them grace. I'm going to give them grace. I'm not going to carry it around. I'm not going to make them a bad person. I'm just going to give grace. Can we give ourselves some grace? How much judgment do you heap on yourself? How many people replay conversations that they've had over and over and over in their head? I wish I had said this instead. Oh, why did I do it that way? Can we give ourselves grace? Can we just let go, maybe? Maybe we just don't need to hold it anymore. Maybe it's not ours because what we're holding is that they're a problem. Can we let go of that? Maybe it is about speaking and standing up for something. You're going to be mixing with all kinds of people over the holidays. You might hear some things from relatives that might not feel in alignment with love and inclusivity. How are you going to navigate that? It's not just about being quiet. It's about how do I articulate it, not about making them wrong. But how do I articulate it so I'm speaking from my understanding of what's important to me? And then we have to be willing to own the uncomfortable. The things that we notice about ourselves, the things that we notice about the world that we have been buying into, that we have been participating in, we have to own that we're participating in them. And all of this, can you feel how this is about love? And we're being invited to be that love with as much clarity and as much courage as we possibly can. You are called to be a hand to the fallen, a crutch for the broken, a healing presence for the sick. You are called to step out of your comfort zone and into the valleys of the hopeless, like a lighthouse illuminating the dark corners of the earth. Not because those people who are feeling hopeless can't do it for themselves, but that you have practiced something that you can then be in that valley and see and know their capacity to be it as well. There is nothing more healing than being seen, truly seen. Not for our cracks and our foibles and all the ways that we are broken, quote unquote, but being seen for the beauty that we are, for the love that we are, for the grace that we are. And I love this quote. Service is what prayer looks like when it gets up off its knees and walks around in the world. This is what we're being invited to live into. Truly live into. We spend a lot of time sitting on our cushions, don't we? We got to get up. We got to be that in the world. And don't get me, I know how hard that is. I know that is like, oh. But look around. When we do it together, just look around. There are all these people right here in this room. There's people on live stream. There are people in other communities all around this planet. Whether they totally align with what we believe or not is irrelevant. What they do believe is that service is what prayer looks like when it gets up off its knees and walks around in the world. So we're not alone. We are never, ever alone. And that is what love grounds us in. Because again, love is the unifier, the harmonizer. Love transcends time and space. Love is where our loved ones, wherever they are in the timeline. I've been at 2 memorial services this week. They're still right here. They're still right here with me. So let's take this into a time of meditation. You know, I really believe this is like a leading edge for the world right now, right? A leading edge for the planet, for each of us, for everyone. And so, yeah, it can feel like it's hard. Because we're not just shifting our own consciousness, we're shifting the consciousness of the entire human race. But we're not alone in that. There are parts of this human race consciousness that get it. And that's who we want to link up with. That's the energy we want to remind ourselves of. We want to harmonize with those who are willing to be out on that ledge, the ledge of love. The ledge of perfect peace. The ledge that knows that there is so much more than what we're experiencing in this life. So much more. So let's breathe in together. And just releasing whatever you need to release. Let's breathe in one more time. And just exhale. If you want to make a sound, make a sound. Just. And we start from that place of faith. I just invite you to just feel into the seed of possibility. I invite you to allow yourself to touch the perfect peace that is truly our birthright. And to just allow that to inform what is yours to do. How are you called to show up in this world, in time, in space? Where are you being invited to get up? To get up and be the active force in the world. Unifying, harmonizing, bringing together. So I invite you to just think about those who you have this natural affinity, that love, that sense of connection is so easy. Just bring them into your awareness, and maybe it's a kaleidoscope of people, of faces that just sort of move by. And just feeling the love and the gratitude that we're never alone. And then maybe you can invite into your awareness those who are perhaps a little more neutral. And just be in that gratitude for their presence. And then the last space is I invite you to bring in the challenges. The people who you somehow think are outside of you, who are other, who are not part of love and wholeness. I invite you to bring them in. Because they were never really outside to begin with. And as we rest in the silence for a few minutes, I just invite you to just be with those that have felt outside of us. What is it that you're called to do, to be, to show up as in the world? To truly be the activity of love and transformation. How are you called to illuminate the seeming darkest places of the world? Let's rest here together in the silence. How good it is to rest in this space, this place that is infinite possibility, that is harmonized, that is whole, that recognizes there is no other, there's nothing outside of us. And just allowing ourselves to honor that awareness, and to know that it does ask us to be in the world purposefully, consciously, as the harmonizer. So bless all who have passed through your understanding, those that are easy to be in the activity of love with, those who perhaps are more challenging. and know that there is no difference. We get to be the constant. Always love, always open, always rooted and grounded in our spiritual understanding. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. So our affirmation today, I'll say it once and I'll invite you to say it with me after. I'm very loud all of a sudden, yes? I'm trying to whisper so I don't blow everybody away. Maybe it's because, thank you, I was in the monitor, so I was like, Okay. I am the active presence of love, harmonizing, illuminating, and transforming the darkest corners of the world. Can we know this together, please? I am the active presence of love, harmonizing, illuminating, and transforming the darkest corners of the world. And so it is. Amen.